Welcome to another episode of Heart, Revelation, Confessions. Today's topic is going to be about different organizations come up. See, when you get hired on a job, they train you, they teach you all the skills. Also, in a workplace, it is division as well. And when you are bought in a business, you don't really get treated fair as a newcomer because they really don't pay you that much. And some people in these different kind of organizations, they get paid different amounts of money. And the people who get paid the high amount of money, they look down on the people who just starting out. You know what I'm saying? So basically, like, we can wish, we can dream that, hey, you know, I want to move up. I want to save up my money. I want to work hard. But sometimes all that stuff don't matter. But even though if you work hard and stuff and you feel that you're not getting a knowledge, there's always somebody out there who is watching you. Because what you don't know by you working hard, people need your energy for their success. There's always somebody in the outside that is watching you, that is plotting against you. So even if you try to stay focused on your job duties, there's always somebody out there that will try to make a comment against you and say that you're not doing this right, you're not doing this right. But with me, I was taught to follow my heart and speak within my heart to reach the people. I'm not perfect. I go through trials and tribulations, but to order to reach the people, you have to be real with yourself. And when some people move up in these companies, they basically denounce who they are and denounce their old ways. But even though if you denounce your old ways and who you are, and you join another set of people and you move up, you can feel lonely. You can feel an emptiness because they want you to think like this way. They want you to be this way. But if you're not being yourself, and if you forget who you are, you won't be a happy person. It's just like you work all day and you move up. You move up, and in the back room, they telling you who you can talk to, who you can't talk to. They just try to manipulate people, thinking this way, doing this way. But some people really don't have the courage of being themselves because they're afraid of losing their job. You know, they're afraid of losing their integrity in a high position. So, it's not all about, selling your soul. People make fun about people selling their soul. But really, if you have an education and stuff, you can move up. You don't have to like sell your soul to come up. But even if you come up, don't forget who you are, because everybody suffered a low point in their life. People went through many trials and tribulations. We suffer a lot of stuff, and and with some of these businesses, that's out today, they cutting jobs, they cutting hours, and all that kind of stuff. You want to save, you want to live on your own, you want to have a nice car, but basically, you really can't really afford none of that stuff, because right now, it is so hard on finding a partner that you can build with, because some of these women out here, not all, but some of these women out here just want to take, 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 and don't put nothing in the pot. And it falls on a man, but it can be stressful all the time when you don't have any help. Some of us, rely on credit cards. Some of us are in debt. Like people be saying like, "Oh, you gotta, pay off your credit card." That's true, but some of us can't pay off our credit cards. We living by paycheck after paycheck. You know what I'm saying? We can only afford making minimal payments. You know, and one thing I noticed in some companies, um, people are forbidden to date, but people still date anyway. And I know when you are in a group or when you are in a department, like people, you know, study your weaknesses and your strength. And some people, some higher ups in the businesses, they can put people together. They can put people together and stuff. And I remember I was on my job and I was talking to this girl, and she had a boyfriend, she had a dude, and me and her, we were just friends. I respect a relationship or whatever. So as I started talking to her, I started noticing people on my job coming around, listening to our conversation. They were very protective over their relationship. So you gotta pay attention with these signs when you know that somebody from a higher position put people together so they can date each other. When people are watching you, talking to them, when people are listening to your conversation and all this kind of stuff, you have to pay attention to it, because when we work, even though we're a team, we just chess on the checkerboard. They can move us, they can manipulate us, they can do whatever they want to do. But the greatest threat is you thinking for yourself, not being manipulated. Once you think for yourself and separate yourself from fake people, low frequency, you start to stand out more. You start to shine more. You know what I'm saying? Because me, I respect everybody. We all human, but I just can't be around fake people. You know, I just can't be around fake people. You know, and some of these companies out here, you know, don't really treat people fair. Some of these companies are racist. They're racist. You know, many people are leaving and stuff. They're racist and stuff. But you know, sometimes you know when you're trying to serve the public, you deal with many people with different kinds of spirits. You know, some people want to talk to you, some people don't want to talk to you, and sometimes it really hurts. You know, when you're trying to interact with the people and people look the other way, people don't hear you. They think that they know it all, and when you're trying to help them, it hurts you because they ignore you and you shut down. And just like with me, you know, it's a lot of stereotypes that go within me because it's like people see stuff on TV and they judge you on those things that they see on TV, but they don't really know you as a person. They don't go home with you. You know, it's just like some of these people out here who has a lot of money, they don't really want to hear anything from me. But it don't matter, you know, if people want to hear me talk, long as I reach one person, that's all that counts. You know, longer if I touch one person, that's what count. That would motivate me to keep on doing what I have to do, and I have to not get discouraged. I have to keep on reaching. I have to keep on teaching. You know what I'm saying? Like all my life, you know, I stood out. I've been myself. And some people look at me and be like, oh, you think you perfect. You think you better than everybody. I'm not better than nobody. I bleed. I cry. I stress. I have to work like anybody else out here. But out here, it is so important to walk in discernment because out here, there's a lot of negative forces out here. You know, day by day, I'm by myself. I'm going out in the street, minding my business. Everywhere I look, I have to I have to be careful. I have to watch my back because there's negative forces all around me. One thing I know too, when you out here representing God and you say you believe in God, right? You got people out here that is looking at you. You got wicked people out here that is looking at you, right? And they want to try to test your faith. They want to try to make you denounce God. They want to try to make you turn against God because they trying to make you ignorant just like them. They trying to bring you down just like them. But even if they do that, you know, even if you are in a low frequency neighborhood, right? Even though you got negative people around you, even though they test you, they try to get you upset, they still can't touch you. They still can't harm you because as a child of God, you must never give your enemies or your adversaries your power. You can't let them control your emotions. You must stay positive. You know, some people out here are miserable, you know, when you get back at them, they want to play like they the victim. They want to play like they hurt, but you started the war. If you can't handle the heat, leave the innocent people alone because you don't know what kind of power that a chosen person of God possess. God will protect his people. I want to thank you all for watching another episode of Hard Revelation Confessions. Please join me next time for another episode.